Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 155 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host, the man who gets relief from all his neighboring podcast hosts, the ill-mented spunky child, aka Moods. And of course, I have the Mexican leprechaun in the house with me tonight, also known as JP. What's going on, playa? Yeah.
Also known as sick as fuck.
Yeah, this seems to be a very fucked up episode, man. I'm sick, you're sick, and it's just the two of us.
I know, it's been a long time since we've had one of these intimate episodes with just me and you. In fact, I actually went back and looked just to see what the last one was. Episode 86, Observance, that or exploitation release.
Really? That was the last one? Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
That's been a long... Wow, that's a ton of episodes. Yes, unfortunately, this episode was actually supposed to feature Brandon from the Exploding Cocks Horror podcast. But unfortunately, we had a sequence of events this week that led us to just the two of us. It's like...
Yeah, we were supposed to record on Sunday. Jeremy was busy working, and then Sunday got messed up because you had a flood problem or something.
Yep. Yeah, not fun.
And then we scheduled for the next day, which was Monday. And then I was like, you know what? That's actually a bad day for me because I work early. Can we actually just do Wednesday? And then I realized on Wednesday that I worked on Thursday and you wouldn't be available till like 11 p.m. my time. And I was like, oh, man, that's just I have to get up at like 5. This can't be a thing. And then I was like, well, let's just push it to Friday, which is like a week later. I don't even think we've ever even done an episode on Friday.
No, I don't think we've ever recorded on a Friday. This actually feels weird. It's strange because we're recording the show right now and it's usually like it's usually like a communal Skype night anyways. So I'm usually on Skype but not recording. This feels fucking strange to me right now.
Yeah, you guys usually Skype every Friday lately.
I don't like to do it when the wife's not home like this because, like I said, I got my dog sitting beside. Everything can basically explode at once on me, right? Because I'm here and the kids, and I don't know. Shit can just start to go down. So it feels weird to me, but, at least we're getting it recorded. The show must go on, especially this episode has been super delayed. I think we got this episode like 3 or 4 months ago from Sam. It's the how do you say his name? Sion
Sono. Sion Sono. Yeah. That episode, and that's one that I think we got that way back when we got Takashi Miike. I think we got him at the same time. So it's been a while since we've had this one to do, and we finally are getting around to it. Unfortunately, Jeremy couldn't be with us for it, and unfortunately, Brandon couldn't be with us for it, and unfortunately, we even tried to get Derek on the show, and and he had to work, and then all of a sudden, it's just too short notice to get somebody to watch, a 2.5 hour film and an hour and 45-minute film, and then a 90-minute one. So it's just us, but
yeah, Brandon is actually at a convention with the homeboy Matt. So that's pretty cool. They met up like in person.
Yeah, that is cool.
And I seen their very gay pictures of each other, and so but they're having fun. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. So yeah. I'm kind of jealous, man. I'm jealous, man. I love going to conventions. I'd love to have met up with them, but
I've never been.
Unfortunately, I'm about 3,000 miles away. No, like 3,500 miles away from that. So.
It's doable. Actually not too far from me. I mean, it's across the entire state, but considering
it's doable.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. Man, dude, I worked today, came home. First of all, I went and bought some medicine and went and got some like water and chicken noodle soup in case I get hungry. I'm not really feeling like cooking much, and then I just came home and started actually prepping for next week's show, which is the Maniac OG versus remake, which we're finally getting to thanks to I think Marco paid for that one on Patreon, and that's one that little known fact that was actually supposed to be episode 4 of the 22 shots. There's an episode called Episode 4 Untitled, and it was supposed to actually be Maniac.
Which is actually the only untitled episode in our entire catalog.
Yep.
And it's that episode, and it's actually all JP's fault. Can't even blame this one on the Jew. Can't blame it on the Jew. JP had ordered UFC, and we were having technical difficulties with this specific episode, and it just went too late.
We didn't get to start for like 2 hours.
Yeah, so we pretty much would have been done the show because we were doing, pretty much shorter shows back in those days. So we kind of started the show when we should have been ending. And so we only got like 2/3 of the show recorded. We just called it an untitled episode, no feature reviews. But that was like 5 years ago. And then all of a sudden, so we're doing Maniac versus Maniac or whatever.
Yeah,
so
pretty cool. I'm happy Marco did that. In other news, I don't know if you saw this, but Jeremy started a full-fledged Patreon war.
Only the Jew could do that,
with Exploding Heads. So Jeremy called out Exploding Heads for not making as much as us last month, and they just went full blown like revamp entire Patreon.
Oh, I thought you were gonna, when you said revamped, I thought you were gonna say retarded.
No, that too.
I thought you were pushed. Oh, that's funny.
Dude,
I did. I actually
so many tears.
I never go on a page. Like I actually at one point I had to go on our Patreon to see what our tiers were. I wasn't even 100% sure exactly what they all were, and a little while ago. But anyways, I had to go check this out. I had to go check out Exploding Heads tiers, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
The one tier, it like blew my mind. It was like, we'll review 100 horror films or something. And I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
One of the coolest one I thought they had was we'll pick a year and then we'll review 10 films from that year. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm happy to see that they didn't actually do like pick a year and we'll do a top 10 list for it. I am really happy that they at least respected that. They come on our show for that, and it would kind of suck if they started doing it too. So I'm really glad that they let us have that one.
I think that specific tier too, you pick 10 films from a specific year, and I think it could get broken up between all the hosts, so they kind of. I think that's the way Brandon was explaining it to me, and I was like, wait a minute, okay. There's like an odd film out, so somebody just reviews 4, and the other guys review 3. I don't know how that works.
Yes, though.
Or maybe the picks are for all of them. They review all of them together. I was actually kind of confused on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But the thing that surprised me the most, I was just like, I had to double take because I couldn't believe it. There's a non-horror option.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 non-horror that it's like called like That's Not Horror or something. And I was so surprised because Dave was, for the longest time, saying like that they're the only true horror podcast on Horrorphilia because everybody else has touched non-horror. So I guess nobody has a horror podcast anymore because I know Derek bought that tier and he's making them watch some stuff.
Is he making them watch some anime?
I don't want to spoil what it is just in case they haven't announced it, but it actually is like still in relation to horror. He kind of did a cool thing. I thought it was pretty neat. So yeah, they basically launched a Patreon war against us, which is pretty funny. But so listen, I think this could be a benefit here because, like, guys, do we want to? I'm talking to the listeners out there. We don't want to lose the Exploding Heads, do we? Everybody, go flood our Patreon right now, so we don't. We can't let those guys beat us. That's not cool. They already beat us all the time in the top 10 rankings, all the time. Like we had like a couple that was ahead of them, but they always beat us in downloads.
Well, man, Jason hasn't posted those top 10 lists in a long time, and I heard through the grapevine he stopped posting them because somebody from that podcast actually told him to stop posting them because we started taking over.
Really?
No, I'm totally making that shit up.
Oh, I was about to say, wait a minute. Let's just go with that. Yeah, I think that's why he stopped posting them.
That was just my really absurd theory of why Jason stopped posting. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too.
Just seeing who was in the top 10. So,
but yeah, they always kicked our ass. So, I want revenge with Patreon at least. But we got to win at something. So, let's
even in the playing field, man. It's all
yeah. But yeah, I thought that they put out a lot of cool stuff, like cool options. I don't know how they plan on actually keeping up with it because they're only a bi-weekly show, and I know we struggle keeping up with ours.
That is true.
I'm sure they'll explain it how they plan on doing it, but
yeah,
I'm a few episodes behind on them. I think I'm on like 2 episodes behind. But yeah. So I mean, besides that though. I've been I feel like I haven't been around lately in the group and stuff. Like I've just been MIA.
Yeah, you've been pretty MIA.
Yeah.
To the point where people actually noticed. People actually noticed.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do, man? You know, life gets hectic, gets shitty. You know, sometimes you just need some time for yourself and shit. I mean, yeah. I know. I mean, things happen, you know, things go down and you need to kind of take a step back, try to breathe properly when you're not sick, you know? I mean, shit just always seems to happen, man. I don't know what it is about 2019, but it's been like one fucking thing after another. I mean, with all 3 of us basically from the show, but it never stops. Even fucking today, something happened. So insane. So I'm at fucking work and I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my shit. All of a sudden, the receptionist comes back and she's like, you got a call. And I was like, what? I'm like, who the fuck would be calling me here? And I'm like, oh shit. It's got to be one of 2 people. It's either the kid's school or it's the wife. And it actually was the wife. And it was about the school. So I'm like, what's up? And she's like, yeah, all the kids just got evacuated. There was a bomb threat there.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
And so they evacuated all the kids to a different school, like just a little ways up the road. And so I had to leave work and go pick him up. And I was like, what the fuck? Bomb threats? This is Canada. We don't have bomb threats in Canada. This is crazy ass shit, man. So it's just like, so it was like 1:00 in the afternoon. You know, I still got like 3.5 hours left my shift, but I was like, whatever. I don't really mind leaving early. Got to go pick up the kid. But it's like, what the fuck? It's like one thing after another, man. You know, it's just never ends, man. Never ends.
Yeah, man, I had such a bad start to 2019. 2019 has been the worst year that I've had in the 5 years we've been doing this show so far. You know, it's just been kind of really crappy for me, but it's looking a little bit better other than being sick. So we'll just move on and keep it rolling. And, you know, hopefully, you know, it's March now, so the weather should be, you know, close to getting a little bit better. You know, I think a lot of people have the, you know, winter blues and, you know, the seasonal depression that comes towards the later half of winter. Absolutely, man. We just came off the coldest February we've had in as long as I can even remember. It almost averaged -30 here all month. Wow.
Like and that was a big thing. Like why a lot of people, like, you know, the mentality of people and just so much sickness and shit that was going around and stuff. It was just a bummy month, man. Just terrible. You know, it's just awful to do anything in and shit. So, but it's, you know, it's back in the pluses now. So I think it's, you know, trying to hit some spring, but fuck. I'm just so done, man. I'm just so done. This has been such a long 2 months of the year. I'm just like, I want this shit to start turning around and just get nice out. And oh my God. But yeah, man, you know, these are the things that keep us going, man, is recording, doing shows, you know, keeping it real, whatever the fuck that means. But, yeah, man, what else can I say, man? So I don't know. Should we get into some news? Do we got some news?
live.
Okay.
Well,
No.
we'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah. Let's go with a little bit of news. So, first little bit of news here. I thought this was kind of interesting. Adrienne Barbeau, who of course we know was the star of Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, actually is joining the cast for the new DC Universe reboot of Swamp Thing, being produced by James Wan. So I just thought that was cool that she's actually going to be part of that.
Wow.
Like, of course, we know Adrienne Barbeau in horror, and Swamp Thing, obviously one of Wes Craven's more boring films.
I wonder if she's going to revise showing her boobs.
I know, right? That was that scene has been, kind of notorious because it's not in the Scream Factory release. Is it on the 88 Films release?
I believe it is in that version. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it before. I don't really give a shit, man. To be honest, the movie's. I'm not a fan of that movie whatsoever. It really is boring as shit. It is. I'd rather watch the Jim Warnowski's sequel. As stupid as it is, it's more entertaining.
I don't love either of them. When we did what was it, 82? I was probably the highest I ever been on Swamp Thing, and even then I wasn't too high. And I actually watched Wynorski's like a couple days later, and I thought Wynorski started off a lot stronger, but I feel like it gets very, very, very cringy, like in the later part of the film with the love story and stuff, and I couldn't really give it a pass after that. It was just weird.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, that's definitely one of my least favorite Wes Craven films for sure. It's like bottom, like really. There's a couple that I still haven't seen, but for the most part, I think that's out of his like known ones. That and Hills Have Eyes 2 are probably my least favorite.
It's crazy, that movie has such a, it has a decent enough following to, it had a TV show at one time, and this new thing
got a sequel.
It got a sequel. Like it's gotten all this love over the years, but it's like every time it gets brought up, I just shake my head. I'm like, really? Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. After that, got a little update on some Blumhouse stuff. So Jason Blum was in a Q&A, and somebody asked him, is Sinister 3 a possibility? And he said nope. He said maybe for the small screen, but most likely probably not. And then he also gave us an update on the likelihood of Happy Death Day 3.
Goody.
And somebody asked him, are we getting a Happy Death Day 3? And he said not very likely, but not impossible. So Happy Death Day 2 ended actually on a post-credit scene. There was a post-credit scene that set up a third film.
Oh, fuck.
So as we know, it actually
post-credit scenes. That's the fucking, it's the hip thing to do these days, man. Gotta have that post-credit. Fuck.
Happy Death Day 2U completely underperformed. I mean, it did. It did. I mean, it did $50 million worldwide, which is great on a $9 million production budget. But the first film did $125 million worldwide. So I think they're looking at it like, okay, if we lost over 50% on the, 50% decline on the second film, is the third film going to be 50% of that?
I mean, if it is 50%, which is probably going to be like 60 or 70, the margin of profit is absolutely nothing, because the budget's going to go up on the film, which means marketing, because they're going to try and push it more and then eventually fail, just like the first movie. In my eyes, sucks.
I
really hate it.
I almost just choked, but the director actually said he planned it as a trilogy, or he imagined it as a trilogy.
Really?
Honestly, the second one was fun, but it takes such a step away from horror and slasher and becomes more of like a sci-fi like comedy. I like the first one. I know you didn't, but I like the first one. I actually liked the second one, but I thought the second one was pretty honestly bad. Like I thought it was really, really, really stupid at times, and I actually expected a little bit more out of like the concept of it with the like almost Back to the Future, like parallel like wormhole type thing going on, and it just I just thought that it was like super underwhelming in terms of like the story from what I was expecting. And honestly, the way they set up the third film, I was like, I don't want to see this. Like like they're going even further away from horror in the way they set up the third film. So honestly, like I'm fine with it.
So it's still that whole Groundhog Day shit.
Yeah, but it's kind of yeah, it's still that, but it's a little different too.
Oh Lord, man! If you're saying that the second one was kind of bad, you know, and whatever else, man, dude, I can't even imagine how much I'm gonna hate that movie. Like,
yeah. I don't know. Jeremy liked the second one more than the first one, so. And Carly did too. So I mean.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the Sinister, I'd never actually seen the sequel. I even own it.
I've never seen it either. I like Sinister 1. I actually love Sinister 1.
I liked Sinister. I thought, I always said that I thought the casting was kind of weird. But honestly, man, if I'm going to watch that kind of story, I choose the Canal. Remember when we did the Canal on the Irish show?
Yeah, I like Sinister more than Canal, though.
Yeah,
I like the Canal, but I like Sinister more. So after that, so this is hilarious to me, but you know, you have, what was it, 1992, so like 26 years ago was the last time we saw Critters, and now they released the trailer for Shudder's TV series Critters: A New Binge, I believe. So that's coming to Shudder, and then not only that, but there's a Critters movie that's being made for Sci-Fi that just wrapped, so that's pretty crazy.
A Critters movie made for Sci-Fi?
Yeah, so like all of a sudden there wasn't nothing to do with Critters for 26 years, and now there's a TV show and a movie coming out.
I don't think I knew about the movie.
Yeah, they apparently Sci-Fi just wrapped their movie.
So,
hey, they did well with Leprechaun, so maybe they'll do well with
So
Critters.
How does it play into the franchise? Is it just kind of like a reboot? Or are they tying it into the... I guess not. I guess they probably couldn't. I mean, I guess they could, but what are they doing with it? Does it say? Because I'm confused by that. That's crazy that they're doing a movie and a TV show at the same time. It's random.
Well, the only thing that they wrote is there's a rumor that Dee Wallace could return. So if that rumor turns out to be true, then maybe it's a sequel.
Yeah, that would... Yeah.
But
wow.
This Shudder series, there's a trailer for it already, so that's like on its way heavy, and then the Sci-Fi film shouldn't be too far away. But I figured bizarre. Chris is probably pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no shit, man. It's crazy. What are the chances of getting a movie and a TV series at the same time? It's fucked up. Yeah,
especially so long after.
Yeah.
Speaking of so long after, 40 years after, we have Mayor Zachary returns to bring us I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, which is the sequel to the original I Spit on Your Grave, as Camille Keaton reprises her role as Jennifer Hills.
Yeah, like the official sequel.
Because there was the
there was one in the 80s, like in the later 80s, shot on video sequel, quote unquote, that has the funniest fucking dry hump scene of all time in it.
What was that one called?
I think it's Savage Vengeance. Is it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's something like that. I can't remember, but like it has the funniest. I think that is the rape scene. Actually, is the dry like the clothed dry hump. Like it's fucking funny as hell. Like, oh, it's bad, really bad. I think it's Savage Vengeance.
So if we do the I Spit on Your Grave franchise, it would include I Spit on Your Grave, Savage Vengeance, the unofficial sequel, I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu, the official sequel, and then the 3 remake films. So it would be a 5-film series.
Have you seen all the remakes?
Oh, wait.
All 3 of them?
6 film. It would be a 6-film series. No, I haven't seen any of them, actually.
Really?
The only I Spit on Your Grave I've ever seen is the 1978 one.
You know, it's interesting. I hear a lot of people, you know, the whole remake to original argument. You know, you always hear people talk about how much they... It seems like almost more people seem to like the remake of The Hills Have Eyes more than the original. Exactly. It's not uncommon to hear that. But man, I tell you, when the remake of I Spit on Your Grave came out, a lot of people are like, that thing just blew away. No pun intended with blew away.
Yeah.
The original. And I mean, I will say, I mean, it's decent. I mean, the original is just so gritty and it just has this kind of flavor to it that it's very attractive. But the remake is fucking brutal.
Yeah?
Like, brutal. The kills are so amped up in it. It's just ridiculous, man. Her revenge is just, it's cringeworthy, man. Especially the end kill. Oh, man. But I can see why people would really like the remake even more. Mm-hmm. You know, but
this one, I will be honest, like the trailer came out and I just wanted to click it just to see what the quality looked like, because this film had been in the works for a while now. I remember just looking. Yeah. We talked about it a while ago and we weren't sure if it was actually happening, and then it is. And I just clicked the trailer for a couple seconds. It does look very low budget. So I don't know how strong the acting's going to be.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, Camille Keaton is not a fucking A-list actress here.
I know, but she did really good in the first one.
Yeah. You know, but I'm still really curious to see this film. Because,
yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, if she is, I'm not sure about the storyline if she's the victim again. But I love these in films, like in the remakes.
It's her and her daughter.
It's her and her daughter, okay? Like in the remakes, like you can make 3 of these things and the same chick keeps getting raped. I'm like, how fucking, like, you got the worst luck in the world. How do you get raped that many goddamn times? It's like, come on, dude. You know, in different cities, different scenarios and shit. It's like, man, what do you got? Just rape me fucking written on your back? I don't know, but...
All right,
I guess rape isn't that funny to you, but I thought. Oh, sorry. If it was incest, that would have been funny, right?
Yeah. So it like hurts to laugh. So my lungs hurt so bad. Eli Roth producing and potentially directing a survival horror film, The River at Night, for Miramax. So this looks like this might be what Eli was meeting with Miramax for.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Not Thanksgiving. But essentially...
No, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right.
Fucking Jeremy.
Basically, it was a 2017 novel that they're adapting. I believe the project, it says it'll be shaped by Kevin Williamson and Eli Roth. And Roth might actually be directing. There's a big write-up on what it's about, but it says Kevin and I had a long mutual admiration society, and he told me this was girls trip meets Deliverance. I said I'm in, Roth told Deadline. I've always been drawn to these clash of culture movies like Cabin Fever and Hostel, where they go on adventure and everything turns against them and see what they're made of. The book is fun and a smart thriller, so that seems to be what Roth was actually working on. So
okay.
Yes.
I mean, can't be any worse than Death Wish. So
I like Death Wish. It wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I liked it.
I just want him to go back making, you know, decent to above average films. You know, I think we've had this conversation a lot, but the second half of his career is definitely plummeting compared to doesn't even compare to the first half in quality of films. But that is my opinion. Sticking to it. Green Inferno. Fuck.
After that,
He doesn't even
Alexander.
fucking say anything.
You are such a dick.
You're 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 a dick.
The two of you are the most annoying dicks in Canada.
Don't make me sound like an asshole.
I like those movies. Fuck off. Alexander Aja's new horror film, Crawl, is supposed to be released in July 12th, actually. This is this an A24 film? I don't even know. It's following a young woman who is struggling to save her father during a Category 5 hurricane, finds herself trapped inside a flooding house and fighting her life against Florida's most savage and feared predators. I think that it's like a killer crocodile, a killer alligator film or something. I think that's what the word on the street was. It doesn't say here on Bloody Disgusting, but Sam Raimi, I believe, produced this, and like I said, it's Alexander Aja's new film, so that could be cool.
Wow, new creature features.
I like that. Sounds straight like some contained horror to me, so I'm down with that.
Well, make it practical.
Yeah, there was another good contained alligator / crocodile film called Dark Water from probably over a decade ago now.
Yeah, Australian
it's from the same one. Yeah, it's from the same dude who did The Reef, which is a great contained shark film.
Yeah, Blackwater. That's the one where they get trapped in kind of in the swamp area and they're stuck in the trees and shit. That's fucked. Yeah, that's really fucked up, man.
Yeah,
that's a scary idea.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we have Scream Factory announcing a new Steelbook. And this is actually the first time I believe Scream Factory is putting a film out in a Steelbook that wasn't a official Scream Factory Blu-ray beforehand. And that is Joe Dante's Piranha. They're putting out a Steelbook version with a new 4K scan, as well as a new commentary with Roger Corman. That if you remember back, the Corman before Shout Factory created Scream Factory, there was the Roger Corman Cult Classics line, which a lot of those films have been re-released on Scream Factory since. Piranha was one that hadn't been, though.
Yeah, a few of them have made their way over there,
like Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, did they say anything about releasing that Piranha on a regular edition?
No, I think it's Steelbook only.
Fucking lame.
Yeah, I don't really. You know what? I just bought a Steelbook. I bought Back to the Future trilogy on Blu-ray, which I gave the digital copy away on the Patreon. By the way, if you haven't been on the Patreon, I got a couple more codes for you guys. Be on the lookout for those. But yeah, and you know what? I've never liked Steelbooks. Like I've never like been crazy about them. But turns out like I actually am kind of repulsed by them. Like I don't like the feeling of them. The top of the cover and stuff. It's like a weird. It doesn't feel smooth. I just don't like it. But yeah.
That triggers JP's gag reflex right there. Steelbook.
Yeah.
I just don't fucking. I never bought into it. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't mind Steelbooks. You know, like I don't like hate them or anything. I just don't collect them. You know, if I can get something on a standard, I mean, I'll pick up the odd one if it's really fucking cool looking. You know, like I actually picked up the It Follows one with it has that kind of throwback 80s artwork on it. You know, with the eyes in the mirror and shit. You ever see that artwork? I love that artwork, man. It's so damn cool.
Yeah.
You know, but like
I have a few of them. I have some of the ones that like were released in Walmart, like The Mummy and Van Helsing and King Kong and what else do I have? I have what was the I have Texas Chainsaw Massacre too on DVD Steelbook. But yeah, Not a huge collector of them myself. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Oddly enough, I actually have the Piranha remake on a Steelbook, come to think of it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's fucking weird. It's actually kind of cool, though, because it's embossed and shit. It's got, like, I guess a different texture, maybe that won't repulse you as much. Won't trigger that gag reflex.
Oh, also, yeah, I totally forgot. Scream Factory announced The Entity. 1982's The Entity. They have it listed as 83, but
and
fuck
you want to talk about atrocious artworks?
Yeah, that's
Holy
not a very good. I mean,
fuck.
honestly, the Entity artwork isn't that good to begin with.
No,
any version.
No, it really is. But the original artwork is definitely better than that. But I like looked at the picture or looked at the artwork and I was like, that doesn't even really it doesn't really reflect Barbara Hershey's beautiness.
No, honestly, it doesn't even really look like her that much.
Yeah, like I had to double, triple take on it. I was like, that doesn't look like Barbara Hershey. What the fuck is going on? So
yeah.
I don't know. I was confused by that. It didn't look like.
Yeah, I have the Umbrella Blu-ray actually, so I'm probably not upgrading. Even though I really like The Entity, it's.
I was gonna buy the UK Blu-ray so many times I never did. I was gonna grab that Umbrella one. I never grabbed that either. And now this one, it's like I still don't even own the movie on Blu-ray, which is crazy.
Yeah,
because it's a film I love, and I probably should upgrade that one. But
they also did announce.
Have you watched that Umbrella Blu-ray?
Yeah.
What kind of audio did they do a new mix on it and stuff?
I have no idea.
Or did they just use like
it was a while ago.
I can't remember
at all.
Because I'd be curious to hear what the actual, the sound design or the soundtrack sounds like on the Blu-ray, right? Because even the DVD just fucking pounds, and it's like one of the most intense scores of all time, right? It's insane. So yeah, I'd like to hear that.
They also announced a couple of sci-fi horror films from the 50s. You got The Island Earth from 55, the Monolith Monsters from 57, and then Monster on Campus from 58.
Man, I gotta say, Scream Factory is really putting it down with all these fucking 50s and 60s films right now. It's crazy. They're releasing so much good stuff mixed in with the Hammer stuff, and they've been releasing a ton of stuff. Like I went, a good year and a half. They were not buying a lot of Scream Factory stuff, and then they obviously picked up the catalog for all these older titles, and it's just been like, holy fucking burning holes in my pocket, considering that they dropped the prices since they jacked the prices. And but I've been still getting pretty decent deals on some of them and shit, but I gotta say, man, it's cool that they've went this way and then they're releasing a lot of these type of titles, because I'm really curious to see if they're gonna start releasing more of the Hammer films.
Yeah, well, they announced also Frankenstein Created Woman, which is Peter Cushing one, Hammer. Which I gotta say, I do like the artwork they're doing on the Hammer titles. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's totally sweet, man. Because there's a lot of Hammer titles out there, man, that have been out of print for a long time and stuff, and hopefully they've snagged them up and they're going to be releasing all those and shit. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
I think it's dope as hell. They're doing a lot of Hammer stuff, because I'm not super versed in Hammer, but from what I've seen, I do like the stuff that I see. I usually like. So yeah. Actually, you know what? Funny enough, Dracula 1972 was my least favorite Hammer film that I've seen so far, I think.
Yeah, Dracula 72 is a fun film for what it is. The major problem is that Christopher Lee's in that movie for like 4 minutes. He didn't really want to do the last couple Dracula films. And the scripts just really didn't revolve around him. They're like, wow, you got like 5 minutes of screen time here, man. We'll give you like 100,000. So fucking, he's like, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, he doesn't call in the fucking, the performance either. He's still good in them, but it's weird to see those in modern times and shit. But
yeah,
still pretty cool.
And that's it for the news, man.
Fucking thing sucks!
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I like to dissect girls. Do Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Have you checked the children?
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
You're all doomed.
Oh yeah, moving along with the show into the what we watch portion, or the dub. Yeah, it's where we go round tree, review some films, give some ratings, pass it along, and yeah, you're actually going to hear Jeremy in this segment. He literally called these in. He phoned these in.
Well, with that said, why don't he go first?
Yeah, Jeremy, start us off.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Even though I am not on the show this week, I still need to get my What I Watch picks done, because I have a shit ton of Patreon films. So, I am still going to give you my dubs. So sorry I could not be on the show this week. I had to work. And during the winter time, I gotta work when I gotta work, because sometimes there's not any work. So, first up, I'm going to be talking about a VHS staple film, a film that was, insanely popular during the VHS era, and that is the film Dead Pit. Now, this is the first time I've watched Dead Pit, and, like I said, it's iconic with the VHS era. The old box used to come with the lit up green eyes, and when you press the button, the lights on the cover would light up. I think Anchor Bay released that VHS, but this is the first time I watched it. I've had the Code Red DVD for a while now, so I figured since I got a Patreon pick for it, I would check it out. And this comes from the muscle dude himself, so let's talk about Dead Pit. Dead Pit is an interesting film in the sense that, like I said, it's a very low-budget kind of a film, and it has a cool setting and atmosphere. I just feel like the film is fucking boring most of the time. I mean, it has, awesome lighting at some points at the beginning of the film. For a low-budget movie, I mean, it's not bad lighting. We see a lot of these greens and neon colors, iconic for this film. And it's nice, for a low-budget film, but, I mean, after that, it just turns into another muddled, bluish kind of a tint kind of film the entire time. But basically, we follow this doctor in this mental hospital that is doing these experiments to these patients to pretty much turn them into zombies. He's operating on their brains, basically turning their emotions into mush. And one day, as he's doing experiments, the main doctor of the hospital happens to see these things happening, and he kills this evil doctor, by shooting him in his head, and basically he closes or, shuts this basement where all these horrible things are happening, and, gets on with his life. Now, 30 years later, we follow our main character now named Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is a person who can't remember anything of her past. Oh, here comes the plot twist, folks. But she can't remember anything of her past, so she gets sent to this, this mental hospital, and there's an earthquake one day, and it ultimately opens up the floodgates of this closed-off basement that this head doctor closed off 30 years ago once he killed the evil doctor. All his minions come back to life and start, attacking the other patients in this mental hospital. And that's basically about it. That's the fucking plot of the film. I mean, the movie's fine. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be completely honest. I find the film to be rather boring. The zombies don't even show up until an hour and 5 minutes into the film. So you're spending 65 minutes with these characters that you really have no connection with. I mean, they're fine. It's a low-budget film, so you're not going to have the highest acting skills in these kind of films. So you don't really care about them. The only main character that you actually enjoy is this inmate who is basically fucking the system, and he's a criminal, and he's just pleading mentally insane so he could get into this mental hospital and be out in a few months instead of having to go to the knocker for a while. So that he's really the only interesting character, and the only character that you really root for. But besides that, I mean, you really don't care about any of these fucking other characters. And then finally, when the zombies show up, I mean, it's fine, but they're not even that interesting. they're just normal looking zombies, and there's not even that many like interesting kills or anything like that. It's just not a film that I really enjoyed. It has nothing to do with the fact that I don't like zombie films or anything like that. It's just the fact that I just didn't enjoy the movie, and I didn't like watching it or anything like that, and I thought that it didn't really have any interesting traits to it that made it a good film. I know a lot of people like this movie. I don't understand why, but it just wasn't for me. So for that, I give Dead Pit a 4 out of 10.
All right, after that compelling review, I guess I will go next. So the only Patreon pick that I got to this week is a film from Fan of Eli. I actually just watched this a couple minutes before we started recording, finished up just in time, and that is Storm Warning from 2007. Funny enough, I actually did review this film on the show before. I thought I had when I saw him give it to me, and I was going to ask him for if he wanted to give me something else, but I selfishly was like, you know what? I'm not pressing my luck. My luck, I'll get some 2-hour foreign Asian film. So it had been so long since I'd seen this film. Episode 20 was when I reviewed it. I felt like it was so far away that I didn't mind revisiting it at all. So decided to just go with it. And Storm Warning follows a couple who are boating in sort of a, almost like a, very secluded area, kind of near an island in like this swampy water. And they get caught out in a storm where they happen upon a trio of, backwoods type hillbillies, but Australian versions. Where you probably know like the type of movie, it's your standard, Deliverance, like backwoods, like hillbilly type guys, and they pretty much immediately start harassing the two. They basically, the couple runs into them, runs away from them, avoids them, and then ends up at their house. They kind of investigate the house to look for a phone. The three people show back up, and they're not very cordial at all. They're very, very much harassing and being very standoffish from the beginning. Usually with these films, you see a little bit of like, oh yeah, sure, I'll help you out. I'll take you into town tomorrow type thing. But they're pretty much dickheads right away. And it's funny because they actually are dickheads. Then they calm down and they're a little nicer. Then they're dickheads again. And it's basically this husband and wife, and they're kind of, psychologically being tortured a little bit, let me see your wife's ass, stuff like that. Kill this baby kangaroo. And then the wife basically takes control of the situation. At first she's like, I noticed this time watching it, the whole beginning scene, she's like hiding behind her husband and like all like weak-willed and stuff like that. And she pretty much takes over the movie. And actually the revenge part happens so late in the film. Like there's only like, half hour left when you're like, holy crap, they got to wrap this up pretty soon. And, she gets kind of revenge on them. And she kind of almost goes jigsaw on their ass. Like I remember when I reviewed this the first time.
Booby traps.
Yeah, booby traps. I remember when I reviewed this the first time, my biggest problem with the film was how unrealistic the like booby traps were, with like the fish hooks and stuff like that.
But are booby traps ever realistic though? I mean, like every once in a while you're like, oh yeah, that would probably work. But most of the time you're like, man, even MacGyver couldn't make that shit work.
Super elaborate. Like the fish hook thing is like massively elaborate. Yeah. But this time watching it, knowing that was coming, I like accepted it more or something. It didn't bug me as much. So I actually came up on my rating on this one. I do think that the hillbilly characters are like kind of one note in terms of like, you've seen this a million times. They're playing them like exactly how they've been played a million times, and I don't know if that's necessarily.
But I think it's because those type of characters are naturally just one track minded, anyways. So there is no diversity. There isn't gonna be, you know, that mood switch with them and things like. I think that's just the way it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much play exactly what you would expect.
I think honestly, though, like if you have those type of characters and the director's leaning towards making them kind of sympathetic, it's like, dude, they're fucking dicks. They're harassing people. They're making them do crazy shit.
I definitely wouldn't make them sympathetic, but I just mean like they're very much a carbon copy of what those characters usually are. I will say there's even like there's a scene where I swear to God I've seen this in so many movies, like revenge movies and especially like rape revenge movies, but where the woman like gets the like younger, like not as intelligent brother and is like, you're not like the other ones, you know. Does that whole thing. And I think that whole type of scene has worn so thin on me that I was like eye rolling at it. But man, yeah, you know what? The film opens up. It's shot pretty well. Like at the beginning, I like the location. I didn't mind the Saw-esque type, you know, traps as much this time. The characters get their, you know, comeuppance and stuff, and you know, I'm actually coming up a half point on this one versus the last time I watched it. I gave it a 7.5 last time. I'm gonna hit it with an 8 this time. It's a good movie. It's part of that Dimension Extreme line that released a lot of good movies. And yeah, it's only available on DVD, but you know, this was a fun time when they were importing a lot of these, you know, films from other countries and stuff.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but is the couple Australian or are they American?
No, the couple is
American,
French, and
French.
One's Australian. Either one's English or Australian, and then the wife is French.
Okay, yeah, I thought that they weren't like straight up Australian. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, like the setting though is really cool in that film. Like it literally is pissing rain through a lot of it too. Am I correct on that, or am I just tripping?
Yeah, it's raining like the whole entire movie.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that idea. That's cool, man. I gotta rewatch that one. It's been years, man. I think I probably said that last time you reviewed it too.
Yeah, right. Like 4 years ago.
I do remember liking it though. But you're right though. I remember her starting out as a pussy, and then by the end, like the guy is like a total pussy. You know, like she takes over and just totally fucking, you know, steals the show and stuff, which is maybe a little bit unrealistic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I guess it could happen. You know, I mean, it goes either way, I guess, really.
Yeah, but thanks for that, Fan of Eli. I enjoyed revisiting that one. That was cool. And it's short too. It flies by, man. That movie flies by. It's like an hour and 27 minutes or something. It flies by.
Yeah, it's pretty much a 90-minute movie. All right, so first one up for tonight is from Tyler. That's it. Tyler. I always find it funny when it's just when you're on like a first name basis with someone. It's so impersonal. It's like you're just there's like millions of Tylers out there, but this one's from Tyler. He gave me the 1994 John Waters directed film Serial Mom. Now, I don't know if he knew that I love this movie, but man, I have always thought this movie is insanely underrated. John Waters as a director, I mean, he's pretty infamous for, you know, Pink Flamingos and all the kind of smutty and, you know, extreme shit that he did back in the day and stuff. This movie is so fucking funny and smart. It's hilarious, man. It's got a great cast too. It's starring Kathleen Turner. She plays the perfect housewife and perfect mom. Her husband's Sam Walterson. We got Ricky Lake as one of the kids. And Matthew Lillard actually is her son in the film. So pretty cool cast. You got Justin Whalens in the film, who was, of course, Andy in Child's Play 3. Yeah, Child's Play 3. He plays the friend Scotty and shit. Now, basically, the premise of the film is Kathleen Turner. She plays like this all-American perfect housewife, perfect mom. You know, lives in this, you know, white suburb, you know, just got a perfect life and everything. It's got a very Pleasantville type atmosphere and tone to the film. You know, everything is just perfect, you know. Her husband's got a great job and stuff, of course, Kathleen Turner's character is not exactly who she seems to be. To everyone, she's this perfect mom, but on the inside, she's actually a rampaging murderer, and she has a knack for just harassing the shit out of people and killing at will. I love this setup. It sounds kind of corny and kind of something that you've seen before. You probably have, but it's done really, really well. There's a lot of really great jokes in this. I love the whole setup with the son. Matthew Lillard's character's name is Chip, and they introduce him, and he's a really, really big horror fan. He loves horror movies, and he loves Herschel Gordon Lewis movies. You know, like actually in the movie, he's even watching Blood Feast. He's got all these awesome posters. Like the aesthetic of his room is something that I love. And like I lose focus of dialogue in scenes like that because I've mentioned this many, many times in the show, how much I love to watch the walls, and I always pick out posters and things that are in the background that usually people don't really notice in films. It's kind of hard not to miss these ones in this one, but anyways, he's a big horror fan, and you know he's watching Blood Feast, and he's got all these crazy posters. I absolutely love this shit. And there's this funny ass scene where Kathleen Turner's character, obviously the mom, she goes to Chip's school to talk to his math teacher. And the math teacher says, you know, he's a good student, but, he's there's something wrong with him. He's too much into horror films and, shit like that. And we all know Chip is a perfectly normal person. And I love this play. I love the social commentary that's going on here. It's obvious, people are just being judged for, what they appear they are, what they like in life and shit. Oh, you like hip hop music? I guess you're trying to be a fucking wigger. It's that typical bullshit they hear every day in society. This guy's into horror films. He must be a freak. He must be a masked murderer and all that other bullshit, right? But, the flip side is the mom, who appears fucking perfect, is actually the homicidal maniac. I love this idea. It's great. And in this funny ass scene, she basically ends up killing the teacher in this funny ass manner. It's so funny, but the whole movie is just made up of brilliant social commentary. It's really fantastic. But I think one of the all-time funniest scenes ever is the opening scene in the film where the mom, Kathleen Turner's she calls up her neighbor who she starts harassing, and you don't know why at first, and she's just like, you fucking cunt, cocksucker, fucking and she's just laying into her, right? Like after she's been introduced as this perfect mom. It's the funniest scene, and then it flashes back to why she started harassing her neighbor with all these obscene phone calls. It is the funniest shit ever. It's kind of like the end of the movie Chop. If you've ever seen the movie Chop, the whole movie is just crazy, and then the reveal happens at the end, and it's one of those moments where you can't help but fall on the floor laughing. It's so fucking funny. It's one of those drop funny moments. It's so good. But yeah, really, really great performance. Kathleen Turner knocks it out the park in this film. Like, she's full blown, obviously the main character in the film. She's in every scene. She does such a great job. There's so many funny kills and funny moments in this movie that, great soundtrack. John Waters, amazing dialogue that he wrote. Really, really good stuff. But can't recommend Serial Mom enough. I'm going with a 9.5 out of 10. It's one of my favorite dark comedies of all time, and it comes from the 90s era. Definitely not a horror film. It has lots of horror elements. We get to actually see clips from even, Blood Feast and things like that. And it's got some nasty kills and shit. But at the end of the day, it is a dark comedy, but definitely worth your time. Scream Factory actually did the movie a lot of pleasure by putting out a collector's edition of the film. And I remember when I picked it up, people were laughing at me saying, really? You fucking picked up Serial Mom? Why'd you pick up Serial Mom? And I'm like, it's funny as hell. Like, have you ever seen it before? It's directed by John Waters. Oh, really? I think this movie was kind of overlooked and wasn't really, it didn't really get its props. I still think that people don't recognize this one. So do yourself a favor, go out and check out Serial Mom if you're into dark comedies and shit, because it's definitely worth your time. Serial Mom.
All right. I've never seen it. It sounds pretty fun, though.
It is absolutely, like, I watched it last year, and then, of course, I got this Patreon pick, and I had to rewatch it. Loved it even more. I was pissing myself. It's so fucking funny, man. It's great. I'm sure Jeremy's got to love this movie. I know he's a John Waters fan. I know he digs this type of dark comedy shit. And the fact that it's full of social commentary, it's great. It's got so many great scenes. You just kind of laugh at it because, he's not being overly subtle about things, but he kind of is too in certain aspects of it. And it's great. It's a great film. So,
well, speaking of Jeremy, you're up.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a film from the notorious fucking douchebag Mikey Fisher. Oh boy, guys, what are we going to get into this time around from the legendary guy who loves to give me shitty movies for no fucking reason? And guess what, everybody? We have to deal with 2 horrible movies this month from Mikey Fisher. Lucky us. Alright, let's get this motherfucking done with. We have Don't Cut the Grass Anymore from the year 1985. I don't know if this is a shot-on-video film or what. I think it was shot on 8mm, but it has a very shot-on-video kind of feel to it. Really retarded plot that doesn't fucking go anywhere. And uninteresting characters. I mean, our main 2 killers are somewhat interesting, I guess, but they're fucking just absolutely annoying. An insanely hard watch. This movie is just a gore film. If this movie came out back in the day during the exploitation grindhouse years, I think the film probably would have succeeded a lot more in that market. But in 1985, we have fucking movies like Back to the Future and The Breakfast Club coming out. Why do we have to have this schlock even be put in front of our eyes? So we follow these 2 guys. They're like gardener kind of characters. And they're basically serial killers. And they're obsessed with going around to upstate New York and murdering the yuppie fucking kids who are living there, because they're like rednecks, do kind of characters who don't really fit in with society or anything like that. So they go up to upstate New York and they murder all these teenagers, and that's about it. And they do it in extreme close-up, shot-on-video gore kind of aesthetics. I mean, the gore is good. If you're looking for like a gory film, this movie definitely will deliver the goods. But I don't really care for that very much. I like narrative and character development and shit like this and things like that, and this movie definitely doesn't have anything near that level of development. I mean, it's just a shock film with good gore, vaginas cut off, Barbie doll murders. Yes, I said it, Barbie doll murders. There's actually Barbie dolls being murdered instead of people, and it's absolutely fucking retarded. But I'm stuck having to watch it because that no good son of a bitch Mikey Fisher makes me watch it. And like I said, it's like extreme close-ups of these 2 guys like crushing in skulls and pulling out intestines and that kind of shit that's super uninteresting to me in a personal aspect. And it's not shot well at all. It's fucking horrible. Of course, as you expect, the acting is horrible. This is not a film that I enjoy, and I don't understand how this came out in 1985. I can understand if it came out in, like, the mid-70s, but it came out in 1985, and it's just fucking insanely stupid. So, as you can tell, I do not recommend They Don't Cut the Grass Anymore from 1985. The DVD is hard to find now, so luckily you won't have to sit through this shit like I had to. But I don't recommend it, so I give it a 2 out of 10.
All right, after that informative review.
Yeah, wow. Jeremy, you're on fire tonight, man. You're on fire.
I actually am going to be reviewing a film that I never have reviewed on this podcast before, but I have seen it, and that is 1933's King Kong, going way back. I actually watched this in the theater this week, so I figured I would talk about it a little bit. I think I'd seen it when I was a kid on TV, like on black and white TV, actually, which, good because it's black and white. But I remember seeing this a few times as a kid. Like, I didn't really remember it. And then I think I revisited it on DVD when I picked it up. I might have reviewed it for one of my 31 Days of Horrors one of the years. But I hadn't seen it since. Seeing it on a big screen, wow, man, this movie is just amazing. Like, it really is. It's truly an amazing cinematic achievement. Like, even first of all, it holds up as a movie today. It's still highly entertaining. Like, yeah, you could see the rough around the edges, effects and stuff, but at the time, it's almost like astonishing how crazy this movie would have been to make and how big it probably felt, because you're watching it and you're just like, wow, like this is actually kind of fucking scary. Like I could totally see this being like terrifying to see, because you're like, see this big ass monkey's face and stuff. But anyway, it follows a filmmaker who is in New York, who wants to make a movie. He typically makes them in like jungle settings, and he wants to make a new film, but he won't tell the crew of the ship where he's making it. So he basically, because he's, well known and stuff, basically tells them like, just go here. And then once we get to this point, I'll tell you guys where we're going. He also recruits like a young girl off the street because he can't find an actor that'll work with him, an actress that'll work with him. So he picks a random person off the street, a beautiful girl. And they basically go to this mysterious island known as Skull Island. They start, trying to, make a film with the natives and things like that. And essentially they kidnap the natives. They kidnap the, damsel in distress, essentially. And they offer her up to this godlike creature, which is King Kong, a giant ape creature. And it's up to the filmmaker and one of the crew, one of the guys on the ship, who falls in love with the girl. And they have to rescue her, and also on Skull Island there's like a bunch of dinosaurs and stuff. Man, dude, like I just was so blown away with this. I'd always liked it, and I'd always rated it, pretty high. It's a damn well made movie. It's a classic. But I couldn't imagine. I didn't expect to be so into it. Film from 1933, so into it. Even though I knew how good I knew it was respected and stuff. I didn't expect to find myself that into it. Even though I had seen it before too, but I was so into it at the theater. I was like, this is amazing. Seeing it on the big screen, like this huge screen, and seeing how grand the film felt, it was just cool, man. And, like the stop motion is still so cool, dude. Like it looks so neat. And, when King Kong, like, breaks one of the lizards and one of the dinosaurs' jaw, and starts playing with it to see if he's dead, like that, it still looks so cool. And one of the things I was super surprised with that I kind of forgot is how violent the movie is. Like the movie is incredibly violent. Like King Kong drops, like when he's shaking that tree, like 5 people fall dummy deaths, fall to their death and smack the ground super hard and stuff like that. And he pulls this woman out of a fucking skyscraper and just drops her. Like, she ain't living from that. Super cool. Obviously there's some great social commentary, especially for 33, about, us invading and just taking stuff for our own greed and shit like that. And, letting nature be nature and, not trying to play God and stuff like that. It's really cool. I mean, 1933, man. I mean, this is amazing stuff. I absolutely loved King Kong. I had recently watched the 76 version for when we did the 76 show. And I actually like Peter Jackson's version, but I do agree that it's too long. This is definitely, from the ones that I've seen, the best King Kong. And also, I like it way more than Godzilla, like way more. I just think that there's so much more going on in this one than Godzilla, and the scenes are so good. But that's for Sam, because we go back and forth on that. But yeah, I'm coming in at a 9.5 out of 10 on King Kong, man. I mean, it's 1933. It has some flaws, but it's fucking amazing. It's amazing.
It really is. I agree, though, man. The effects in that movie still hold up.
Yeah, dude,
they're super
awesome.
They're super cool, man. Yeah, because I got the like a digibook version of it, and that transfer is like ridiculous on it. Like, man.
Yeah, I have it on a crappy blue DVD that has like or King Kong Escapes with it.
Yeah.
That I got at Walmart for like $5 or something. So I need to upgrade that bad boy.
Yeah. I think you can get like a standard edition. I know that Digibook's out of print or whatever, but definitely worthy.
King Kong is so good.
Yeah, it's worthy of an upgrade for sure. Okay, man. Next up here is a film coming from another Patreon pick, and it is from Geno Cyber. Wow, I think that was the first time I read that name. Geno Cyber.
I can't remember.
Okay. I don't know this person. And they chose a film called Wicked City from 1987. This is a animated film that I knew about. I've known about this film for years. But I'm glad that, somebody went out of their way to get me to watch this movie, because it's always something I wanted to check out, but I need that nudge when it comes to anime and stuff. I always think that I don't care for this type of stuff, and then I watch it and I'm like, oh, okay, it's pretty cool. And I've done that in the past a couple times with films, and I'm like, okay. So, knowing really nothing about the plot going into this, I just knew the title Wicked City, but it is basically about these two adjacent worlds, these kind of parallel universes, one being Earth, of course, and the other one being the Black World, where these it's kind of like a paradox world where all the demons and mutants that's where they live. They live in the Black World, and of course we've got Earth, and these two worlds have an agreement. They've signed a peace treaty that enables these two worlds to coexist together without, massive war and destruction. The key to these, the peace treaty is this like 200-year-old man, and he's the only person that can, sign this peace treaty. He's the guy who basically controls this whole type of thing. Anyways, the peace treaty needs to be renewed. So this world agent from our universe, and of course this very beautiful mutant woman who is for the peace treaty, they kind of get together to protect this 200-year-old man, because there is demons from the paradox world that want to murder him because they want to take over the universe. So if they can get their hands on him, they can or take over the Earth. So of course these two agents, they get together, and now they got to protect this guy before, so they can get to this peace treaty and sign these contracts and stuff, so everything will be back to the way it was. It's a really interesting film, actually. It's a pretty quick watch. It runs about 80 minutes. I was very compelled. It came out in 1987. I'm a really big fan of 80s animation. I thought the animation was fantastic. The voice acting was really, really cool in this. The mutants look cool. I thought, I love watching these type of films because, they're for adults. It's got animated tits, and I'm just like, should I whip it out or not? Like, no, I'm joking, but it's got a lot of that. It's really violent, and it's got really cool scenes and stuff. The only problem I had with the movie that I really was not expecting was this total love subplot between these two agents and stuff, and this whole love story that was developing and things. And I thought that it took away from, the core of the story. I think that they could have incorporated a little bit more action, considering it was an animated film. I could have done without the love interest, the love story aspect of it. But overall, man, I thought it was actually really cool, man. The 200-year-old man was fantastic, man. Some of his lines, he was like this dirty old man. He just wanted to have sex with everything that moved. It's absolutely hilarious. I was pissing my pants at some of the dialogue he was spitting. It was like ridiculous, but some really cool scenes, man. At first I was like, is this even horror? But of course it is. It's got demons and mutants, and it's got, animated gore and kills and things like that. It's a really dark film. I thought it was a very interesting watch, and I can see why people are into this type of stuff. I haven't really seen a lot of these type of films, these Japanese films. Actually, the one thing that really caught me off guard, and I'm not sure if this is normal, but I did check out a few different versions of it, but it was in English. It was like in English, and it must be because the transfer that was from like good DVD version that it came out, and I don't know if it was originally, it probably was originally in Japanese, but this version I watched was straight in English, and it was just weird to see that. I don't know, because I have watched animated movies in the past that were subtitled, you know. So I think Perfect Blue is one of them, actually. I think that was Japanese. I can't even remember right now. I might be talking on my ass, but all in all, man, really cool stuff, man. I actually really enjoy the shit out of this, and I am going to pick this up, actually, if I can find a copy for a decent price, because they are kind of expensive. So, but thank you for picking this for me, because I think I shouldn't say rehash my love for these type of films, because I never really had one. I didn't know I had that much, you know, ambition to watch these, because I actually want to see more of this stuff now. It's actually pretty interesting, pretty cool stuff. So, Wicked City, I'm going to give it, what did I rate this movie? Anyways, 7 out of 10. It's pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. So.
All right. And Jeremy,
let's hear your third pick.
Alrighty, last up, we're going to be talking about the French extreme film Them from the year, it's between 2006 and 2008. I can't remember what year it fucking came out. But Them, part of the Fab Five of the French extreme horror films that came out from 2003 to 2009, 8 or 9. And this movie isn't a French extreme film. I don't understand why it's called a French extreme film. It doesn't have any of the traits of a French extreme film, but somehow it's called a French extreme film. Just because it's in French doesn't mean it's a fucking extreme movie, but I'll let it go for the sake of this review. So, what do I think about Them? Well, we all know my opinion on The Strangers and my feelings towards that film. Of course, it's my second favorite horror film ever made. So this film has a fairly similar feel to The Strangers, in the sense that it is a lot of suspense-based narrative storytelling with not too many, effects and jump scares or anything like that. Instead, the director just likes to use a scene of complete darkness and just likes to look the camera in a shot without moving it or anything like that. And it creates an intense level of suspense in the audience, because it's just you're expecting a jump scare. We're so programmed as an audience to expect a jump scare whenever we see a dull moment in a shot, that we expect, like, oh, here's a black forest, we're going to expect something to hop out of the forest. But with The Strangers and this film, we just are placed there with nothing actually happening. It just holds for a long time, and then the shot changes back to the main character, and the rest of the narrative goes. And it just creates an insane level of suspense that it's just, it really is fucking a horrifying, scary-ass goddamn film. And I understand some people, this isn't their kind of film, but it is my kind of film, and the movie truly is scary and terrifying. So you just basically follow this couple, like it's very similar to Strangers. We follow this couple, once a newly hired teacher, and her husband is a writer, and they go away one weekend to this house in the middle of the forest. And one night, the teacher's car gets stolen by a bunch of hoodlums. We don't know who these people are. We rarely ever see them. But after that, they start tormenting this couple, playing mind games with them and things like that. And it ultimately ends in a twist of who these people are and what they're doing. And it's just an insanely well-made, great film. And it just all has to do with amazing, well-done acting, no effects whatsoever, no over-the-top violence or anything like that. That's why I really disagree with the idea that this is a French extreme film, because it really isn't. It really doesn't have anything related to the themes of a French extreme film. So I really don't know why people say this is French extreme, because it really isn't a French extreme film. But overall, yeah, this I've seen this one once before, a long time ago, when I was really into my French New Wave kick. So I rewatched it for the second time, and I really did appreciate it more this time around. It's probably my third favorite French extreme film behind High Tension and Inside. I mean, Martyrs is an amazing film. I love Martyrs. I think it has so many awesome things going on. And technically it's the better film, but from a personal level, I really did enjoy them a little bit more, even though Martyrs has a little bit more substance when it comes to the narrative. But if you guys haven't seen them, I highly recommend you check it out. It's really fucking good. Really solid. Some amazing, intense horror scenes. And I really do recommend it. So I give them a 9 out of 10.
All right, after that polarizing review.
Damn, dude. Fire. Straight fire.
Yeah. Dumpster variety. Kidding. I don't know what one to do last. Let me see. Let me check out my Letterboxd. All right. I guess I'll do Greta, which is a film I saw in the theater last week. Greta is sort of a thriller film starring Chloe Grace Moretz. Basically, Chloe lives with her...
So it must be a remake, then?
No, actually, it's not. I mean, it's probably similar to other films.
Yeah.
But it basically follows Chloe Grace Moretz's character, who lives in New York or Chicago or some city. I think it's New York. Actually, it could be Chicago, actually. I don't even know. And she lives with her friend, and they kind of, are doing their thing. And she works as like a waitress at a restaurant. And she's riding the subway one day, and she finds a purse, and she takes it back home. And of course, she's the type of girl who doesn't really want to go through it. Her friend's like, fucking look, cool money, let's keep it. And she's like, no, we got to give this back, doing the right thing, which I would do that too, honestly. And she finds the ID or something in the bag and takes it to this person's house. And the woman that answers the door's name is Greta, and she and Chloe Grace Moretz's character, she invites her in for coffee, and they kind of hit it off a little bit. Chloe Grace Moretz's mother is dead, so she kind of is missing that older woman figure in her life, and her and Greta start getting along very well. She's hanging out. She's kind of blown off her friend to hang out with Greta because she promised and stuff like that. Her friend's giving her shit for it, of course, because she's like, dude, she's like a weird old lady that you're like friends with, You find out that Greta had a little bit of her backstory. Like, she had a daughter who she lives in like Paris or something like that. And Chloe basically gets into her cabinet at one point, and there she notices a purse. She opens a cabinet and notices a bunch of the same purses that she found on the bus, and inside the purse also is copies of an ID. So immediately you realize, like, holy crap, this woman leaves these purses everywhere and is trying to lure people in to either be her friend or for some other sinister motive. But right away, that makes you kind of wary of her, and what kind of weirdo lady is this? And that's and Chloe kind of breaks it off with her, and this woman is basically stalking her and showing up everywhere and terrorizing her essentially. I actually loved this movie. Funny enough, I hadn't seen really anybody giving it a great review, but I really liked this movie. I thought it was a great thriller, and I actually would say that it is a horror film. because of a certain few things that happen in the film. I think that it crosses those boundaries into the, safe thriller territory, into the sadistic horror area. I think that I really liked Chloe Grace Moretz as an actress. I think she's good in this film. She's very cute and just has a likable personality in this film. And Greta is actually pretty creepy. There's actually a few scenes where she's, actually kind of scary. And what actually, transpires towards the end of the film is actually kind of disturbing. So I was like, this is pretty cool. I think the biggest flaw with this film is that it's not really anything new. Like, we've seen these type of movies before where like the, stranger or like the neighbor or something won't leave you alone and, is like getting more and more into your life. And, we've seen that before, and that's probably the biggest flaw with this one is we've seen it before. But at the same time, it does enough interesting things towards the end of the film to kind of make it a little bit unique. And I thought that, honestly, like, this is the best film I've seen this year so far. And I haven't seen anybody else even talk about it, let alone say that it was good. So it didn't really do too well at the box office. And Jeremy is the only other person I've seen that's seen it, and he gave it a 6. So that's, he didn't really care for it that much. But I'm coming in at an 8.
Wow. Yeah, what is the 2019's Bye Bye Man for you, or what?
Well, considering he thought Bye Bye Man was complete trash.
Yeah. Because I think you were the only one that liked that movie too.
Yeah, I was pretty much, but that one is more understandable why somebody wouldn't like it. Because it's like a PG-13 type thing. This is actually an R film, I believe.
Mm.
But
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't know about that one. All right, man. So last up here, another Patreon pick coming from Aaron. Again, another first name. That's it. It's just Aaron. He chose the 2019 film Lords of Chaos. Now, I gotta admit, man, when I heard that this was being made about the story, I was a little bit weary about this because there's, this is such an infamous story. And I wanted to see how much truth they were going to put into this film and how much fiction and, how much just Hollywoodness they were going to that they were going to put into the film and stuff. And kind of got a mixed bag here, really. If you're not familiar with the story of the band Mayhem, they were, basically this movie right here is actually it's not telling the story of Mayhem. It's telling the story of Euronymous, who started the band Mayhem in, the mid 80s. And he is the creator of black metal, black Norwegian metal. And to this day, they're still credited as for the ones that, started up that whole black metal wave and stuff like that. But this is the story of Euronymous' rise to the black metal scene and also his death. It's not a spoiler. I mean, the film literally opens up with the narration from Rory Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's youngest brother, I believe, who actually plays Euronymous in this film, which I thought was very interesting casting. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. I thought it was cool. It kind of looks like him a little bit. But, it's the headline in the film, it says, "This film is based on truth and lies." And right there, I was like, fuck, what have they done to this story? So basically the story is Euronymous, he started up, he's the creator of black metal and ultimately ends up getting murdered by a fellow bandmate who was there for a little while by the name of Varg. And the band Mayhem was infamous for the church burnings in Norway in the early 90s. This was fucking massive news, worldwide news. Like I can't remember how many churches it was. It was like 100 churches. And some of these churches were built in like the 1200s and shit that they just burnt. Now, the way I'd always heard the story about Euronymous was that he was this huge ringleader. You know, he was responsible for, you know, the church burnings and all this type of stuff. Now, the movie itself portrays Euronymous a little bit different. They make him out to be at first like he's this huge ringleader. He's got all these ideas, you know, he's all into this death metal. He's creating this whole new scene and things like that. And then Varg comes along, and Varg seems to be, you know, in the movie, Varg is a fucking poser at first, and he changes his ways and becomes like the true, like he's keeping it real. And all of a sudden Euronymous is this very sympathetic character, and they treat Euronymous' character like a fucking pussy, like a total poser in the movie, which I couldn't believe that's what it comes to in the film. And because the way I always heard it was that, you know, he really was this fucking, you know, he was kind of a dick and he had a lot of issues and things, but, you know, he was a lot more hardcore. Like, he was actually responsible for a lot of these church burnings. He wasn't just talking, because in the movie he does a lot of talking, and, you know, Varg is the one that does all the burnings in the film, and I don't really think it's truly like that. Varg is the one that went down in the end of this. If you know anything about the murder with Euronymous and Varg, it basically comes down to the fact that Varg actually claims that it was self-defense. In the movie, it's just like straight up he goes after him and murders his ass and shit because he got word that Euronymous wanted to kill him, but he was more or less joking in the film because, like I said, they portray his character as kind of a fucking poser. He's talking a lot of shit, like burning churches down and killing people and stuff, but he's not doing any of this shit in the movie. I don't know, man. I honestly, I think they slandered Euronymous a little bit in this film. I think he was a lot more, you know, he was a lot more bad. And I think the filmmakers really wanted to be sympathetic to somebody that had been murdered, you know, and really kind of put the evil onto Varg, who is actually out of jail now in real life. He served his time for the murder of Euronymous and has a YouTube channel. I'm subscribed to it. I watch his channel. It's very interesting. This movie comes out, and he's been doing commentary every week on certain scenes and stuff from the film. He hasn't even seen the movie, but it's just like from comments and stuff, and he's just like gives us insight. And it's fucking weird to hear him talk about what went down with the murder of Euronymous. Like, have you ever talked to somebody like that? Or like, just, I mean, for real, like, it's just really, really fucking strange to, you know, even though it's just through YouTube, you still have this kind of connection, like, because you know the story, and it's just like, holy shit, this is mind blowing. Like, the dude did his time. It's cool. But, you know, the overall product of the movie is more fiction. It's more Hollywood based. It's more of what I thought it was going to be. You know, I didn't think that they were going to slander Euronymous like that as much as they did. I mean, in the movie, he has a girlfriend. Apparently, Varg claims that he was a closet homosexual. I don't know about that shit, but apparently he didn't have girlfriends and stuff. There's a lot of shit in the film, like these sex orgy scenes and stuff, and claims that shit didn't happen. Right down to the final murder scene where where Varg actually goes to the apartment, he stabs him a bunch of times, stops stabbing Euronymous to make some fucking chocolate milk. Now, they're just making Varg look like this super, super inhuman, evil person. You know, they're really trying to put all the fucking, you know, just the evilness into the character. He's like, chocolate milk? He's like, that didn't go down at all. The real story is that Euronymous actually attacked him. He lost the battle, you know. It was fight to the death at that moment. Varg murdered him in self-defense. So, but I will say, you know, from a movie standpoint, the movie isn't it's not true to the real story at all. In fact, it's just ridiculous what they did with Euronymous and stuff. I mean, I'm glad that they put the stuff with Dead in there. So another really interesting fact about Mayhem is, so Mayhem was looking for a lead singer. They put out an ad and they got this response from this guy nicknamed Dead. He was from Sweden. He made his way over to Norway. He started fronting the band of Mayhem. And this guy had fucking problems, man. Like super, super deep psychological, suicidal problem. Like he was really messed up. He had all these ideologies that really, in my opinion, influenced Euronymous from what I've read over the years and stuff like that into, you know, really what they became. You know, I mean, their whole thing was about how Christian had taken over the country and stuff like that. And that's where all the church burnings and stuff comes into. So it was ideologies from Dead too, but he was insane, man. This guy was to the point, he was so insane that he actually killed himself in this house that the whole band was living together. And everybody knows the story. And Euronymous finds the dead body, and instead of, calling the police and reporting a suicide, he goes to the fucking store, buys a camera, takes pictures of the dead body, which later they use on an album cover. A real dead fucking body on the album cover. It was like a live album that they did. Actually, they never even recorded their first album with Dead. And the other interesting thing too, that Euronymous was notorious for, was the fact that he made these necklaces out of skull fragments because he blew his head off with a shotgun. And and he would give them out to each band member, that joined the band, and it was like a piece of Dead's skull. Now, they do this in the movie. This is prevalent in the movie, but there's a fucking scene in the end. It actually kind of pissed me off that they threw this in there, because they were really getting sympathetic with the Euronymous character. There's a scene where Varg and Euronymous are sitting at this table, and they're kind of saying they're parting ways. They're done with each other, kind of thing. And Varg is giving back this necklace to Euronymous, and Euronymous is like, you know what, man, fucking keep it, dude. It's just chicken bone anyways. I was like, really? The filmmakers put that shit in the fucking movie? Like, no. I thought that was complete bullshit. I was shocked to see something like that in there, because it was like one of those like infamous kind of nasty tales that turns out it's true. So with the bone fragments and shit, but the skull fragments, but as a film, I think Rory Culkin did a pretty good job. It's not like I really know, if his performance based on Euronymous' real life is accurate, because it really can't be, considering given the material and stuff. But Culkin does a good job in the film, to be honest. Like, really fucking good job. Really, really good job. I thought actually everybody did a really good job in this film. It's shot well, it's, obviously acted well. Music's cool. I mean, I like the fact that, like I said, it's more about Euronymous, not about Mayhem and or the full on, Norwegian death metal or black metal scene and stuff. It's in there and shit. I did like the fact that they had the record store stuff in there. Euronymous actually had a record store that he had opened, like it was all death metal and shit, which is really cool. But definitely more Hollywood, a lot more fiction putting in there. They got to spruce things up, which they didn't have to. It's the filmmakers, in my opinion, just pussed out in this movie and tried to make Varg look really, really infamous and evil, and Euronymous a fucking poser. And that was my two-word review on my Letterboxd, was fucking poser. And I was like, kind of upset me. But overall, I'm glad the film is out. I thought it was pretty interesting. So, I mean, even if you don't know the story of Mayhem, there's actually, Mayhem is actually still going today. There's only one original band member left, but still going, which is actually pretty interesting. But even if you don't even know the actual story, it's still a decent watch. You can definitely take something away from it. So, I wouldn't say, it's funny. This movie is categorized as a biography, drama, horror. I mean, I guess it has horror elements because it's like death metal, and there's the murders. There's a couple murders in the film. The scene with the Euronymous' murder in the film is brutal. It's really, really hyped up and brutal, but I wouldn't necessarily call this a horror film. It's a decent watch, though. Decent watch. So, Lords of Chaos.
All right.
Yeah, that was pretty long. I feel like that was really long.
Yeah, that was like a featured review.
It's funny. I could probably talk about it for like ever, because after I watched the movie, it was really, the more I thought about it, the more it pissed me off with how they portrayed Euronymous' character in there. And it's like, and then hearing Varg actually talk in his videos and stuff, and I was like, dude, I was thinking, like, there's even a video where he even defends Euronymous. Like, this guy killed him, and he's actually defending him to a point. You know, it's kind of crazy. Like, you know, I mean, speaking truth, I guess, but yeah, I mean, if you're a fan and you know the story, you're probably going to hate the fucking movie, to be honest. Because, I mean, you know, the word on the street is a lot of metalheads and stuff are, like, super elitist and shit. And, like, they don't want these stories being altered and shit. And this is definitely a little more Hollywood, a little more fiction involved in there and shit. But yeah, cool stuff, though.
And now, our feature presentation.
Alrighty, moving along, getting into the featured reviews here on episode 155 with your boys, Moods and JP. Jeremy's here in spirit. Actually, no, he's not in spirit.
No.
He's a Jew, he doesn't have there's no spirit involved there.
Yeah, plus he didn't watch these movies, so fuck him.
Oh, of course he didn't. Of course he fucking didn't, man. Like we said at the top of the show, though, this is brought to you from our good buddy Sam. Patreon picked us way too long ago. We're finally getting to it. It seems like all his Patreon featured reviews are always fucked up. I think you and Jeremy did the Tetsuo films without me.
Yeah.
So I apologize. I don't know. Shit's just going down. It's just going down.
Hey, we all did the thing together, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did the thing, too. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Sam's on this featured review thing. That's crazy. So, but yeah, Sion Sono, a very infamous Japanese director. He's done a lot of really interesting films. His career has spanned, 20 years now, I think, or something like that. And it was kind of all over the place. I haven't seen all of his movies. I'm not like one of those like diehard Sion Sono fans that sees, like, I know my boy Dylan, man, he's a big fucking fan. Like he's even seen, what's that one, Love Exposure or whatever, and it's like 4 hours long. I'm like, holy fuck, dude.
Jeez.
Watching 4-hour movies, man. Like, but this guy's kind of all over the map with his genres and stuff, and I like that about Japanese directors. It's like Takashi Miike, like he's all over the place with his genres, his Yakuza films and all that type of shit. But Sono's very similar in a sense, but yeah, first up here, that Sam chose was a film from, what did it come out? 2001. 2001, called Suicide Club. Yeah. But yeah, when this movie came out, this actually had a little bit of a buzz. I think if YouTube was around then, I think people would have been spewing this one a lot more. Because I think by the time YouTube was around, I think it was kind of forgotten and stuff. I mean, you still hear this film get mentioned and stuff, but I don't know, man. It seems like a film that I think would have made a little bit of buzz on the tube. Little synopsis here. A detective is trying to find the cause of a string of suicides. That's all it's written on there. Okay. Fair enough. Well, basically we have here, got a really interesting opening scene in the movie. The setup is where you got about 54 schoolgirls from various schools around Japan basically clutch hands on the in this train station, and they jump in front of a moving train and die.
Yeah,
and it kind of sets off
mass suicide.
Yeah, this like mass suicide, right? And then, of course, there's other suicides that happen and stuff. And yeah, there is a detective trying to figure out what the fuck is causing. It's not just suicides, though. It's like mass suicides, and like nobody can make any sense of what the hell is going on. And, it's kind of interesting. I mean, the movie is kind of based on a true story. Not really? These like, yeah, it's not like mass suicides and shit, but it's based on a string of suicides that happened in the year 2000 in Japan. This was pretty big news, actually, because it was really bizarre. Mm-hmm. There was 33,000 suicides in Japan in the year 2000 alone. That's a lot of motherfucking suicides, man. And I remember there was investigations. It's like, what, like, is there something in the fucking water? Like, what the hell's going on? Because, like, I mean, that suicide rate, you know, when it goes up like 100,000% in a year, like, you kind of have to question things, right? It's pretty interesting. But the thing about, you know, suicide in different cultures also means a little bit of different things, though, too. Like, suicide in the Western world, you know, here in the United States and Canada and stuff, is looked upon as it's not a good thing. It's, you know, to a lot of people, it's kind of weak-willed, and, you know, it's just not good. People don't respect suicide.
Hell no.
And, you know, like, it's very frustrating for us over here to understand a suicide, right? I mean, I understand it's depression. It's not, you know, necessarily their fault and stuff, but, you know, you can't get help and things. But we're not talking about that here. We're talking about Japan, where, you know, they also believe in reincarnation, where we don't really in this part of the world. So suicide is a little bit, it's more accepted. It's still, I mean, people don't want others to commit suicide, but they also believe that they're coming back. So there's a little bit of hope there. You know, if I kill myself, you know, I can come back and things like that. And I think it's all kind of relative to what was going on there. The movie itself really, really plays... It's portrayed, it projects this thing about the people of Japan being, you know, there's something around. It may be, I don't really know how to explain it, but there's something there that connects everything. And,
dude, I didn't fucking get this movie at all.
Yeah, so basically...
I was like, wait, so is the glam J-pop band like the reason everybody's killing themselves?
It's part of it. You see, that's the thing. Like, I think the way Sono's trying to project the story and tell the story is that everything, all the people and everything is connected. And when you get disconnected from the connection, say whether it be, you know, you fall for, you know, pop culture and stuff, and like, you know, when you get so ingrained into something and you just kind of get disconnected from reality, sometimes you just kind of forget about, say, your family and things like that, and like you have those moments where you feel like you're just kind of like, say with your friends, like you're really close to them and all of a sudden something happens, you're kind of like, you know, you're just not as connected, you're kind of disconnected from them and stuff. I think that's kind of what he's projecting here. And once you get disconnected and something kind of invades that, like invades your mind and things, that's when a disconnection happens, and, you know, things like suicide and stuff follows. And I think the band in the film, which I can't remember what the fuck they're called now. Shit. It's like
Desert something.
Yeah, it's Dessert. I think it's Dessert, actually.
Okay.
And they're kind of like the Japanese version of the Mickey Mouse Club in a sense. You know, they play these really, really poppy, corny fucking songs, and it's kind of like, ugh. And then that's when you watch the movie, it does feel like they are the cause. Like their shit is almost hypnotizing people into committing suicide. Yeah. But I think it's just a factor, you know, in what's going on here, because they do project, like, you know, the whole the connection, like trying to rebuild the connection with, you know, the skin grafts. You know, and shit like that. And I'm just like, holy fuck, this is like...
What the fuck was up with that? Like, who's cutting people's skin off?
Yeah, right? I know, like, there's things that aren't necessarily fully flushed out in the film. And I think Sono...
I have no fucking idea what this movie is about. Like, all of a sudden, it seems like fairly straightforward. You have, like...
Yeah.
This police procedural, like, okay, everybody's killing themselves, let's figure out why. And then, like, in the middle of the fucking movie, all of a sudden you got these weirdos that start playing music, and while this girl gets raped under a sheet that for some reason she can't get out of afterwards. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on
Well,
here?
the story is told from all those different points of views, right? Like, all those things aren't actually connected into a linear storyline. They're all...
I didn't even know that, because I fucking can't tell anybody apart in these fucking movies.
See, they're all... I mean, they're all telling the story of the connection and disconnected, right? Just from different... Like, like, there's a part in the film... Well, actually, we know a lot about our detective, right? He's obviously very disconnected from his family, right? He's got this... You know, obviously, he has problems with his wife and his child and things like that. Family life isn't great. He's disconnected to the point where, you know, he ends up committing suicide. He kills himself. Like, he's so disconnected. He's so disinvolved in things and shit. And it's just like, that's one part of the explanation to what is going on here. You know, I think it's a lot easier to understand than if you just kind of look at it like, this isn't that linear. I mean, it's all in the same timeline. You know what I'm saying? But these things aren't actually necessarily connected. I mean, the scene where the kids are on the top of the school, right? Like, that scene is just fucked, man. Like, Sono kind of goes a little bit Japanese in that part where generally when you jump off a building, blood doesn't, you know, spatter up like 30 feet and people don't lose ears and shit. Like, did you watch the uncut version when the fucking ears like stuck up on the edge of the building?
I don't even know. I watched the version on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. Because there is a cut version where there is some of that shit that's cut out. Like, do you remember, you know, in the opening scene where the train hits all the girls?
Yeah.
Did you see the girl's head explode?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that's cut. Definitely cut out of that.
Yeah. Actually, Carly owned this on DVD, and I didn't even get it. I didn't even know, or else I would have borrowed the fucking DVD instead of watching it on YouTube. What is up with the dots on the website? What does that fucking have to do with anything?
I'm not actually 100% sure what that's supposed to signify, because at first it seems like it is something to do with the body count.
Yeah, with the like suicide club.
Yeah, with the suicide club, and that's what it appears it is. I think that's what it might be, or something. I'm not 100% sure exactly what the.
I thought this fucking movie was like so just. I was like, what? I just did like, for a movie called Suicide Club, it has some cool stuff in it, you know, like the opening scene is like pretty, you know, powerful. You know, you got a fucking massive amount of girls just jumping in front of a train. Like, it didn't look that great. They didn't really, like, it's obviously pretty low budget and they couldn't just do an insane massacre or something. But
yeah,
you know, the concept in your head is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. And then I thought it was too fucking convoluted and weird. It was muffled. It was just like, what is going on with this fucking movie? And the skin rolls were cool. It's fucking weird and creepy. But I'm like, I'm thinking like, is there like a serial killer behind this? Like, what is like?
See, I think the point
is it just supposed to be depression? Like, is it like it just infects people?
See, in a sense, you know, it kind of is that. You know, it's the simple fact that, you know, when they were trying to figure out what the hell was going on in 2000 in Japan with all the suicides and stuff, they never really came to a conclusion what the fuck was going on. So I think that's Sono's way of kind of displacing, you know, the idea that you could figure this out and just kind of showcasing imagery and just kind of creating this whole idea of being connected and disconnected with reality and to the point where, you know, you actually commit suicide. I mean, see, the interesting thing is every time someone kills himself in this film, they're generally not under duress, you know, except for the detective, you know, because he was obviously dealing with more than just the case itself. He was dealing with his family, his kid. Like, he had a lot more going on. So he just decided it was a little bit too much and stuff. But you look at all these scenes, like, everyone's happy and shit. Like, everyone's holding hands and they're not afraid to do it and things. And, you know, he's really trying to stress that, you know. And I think the detective's suicide was, you know, it was just kind of the flip side of the coin. You know, there is also these cases and shit. But it's very, you know, it's Japanese filmmaking where, you know, you are watching the film going, dude, this thing makes little to no sense. But if you look at it, in the aspect of it's not, you know, all these things aren't, I mean, they're linked to the core story, but themselves aren't, you know, they're not linking the characters and all those things together and stuff. So
yeah, I have no fucking idea about this movie. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't really like this.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, if you didn't understand it, but I mean, that's what I took it away. I've seen the movie twice now, and the first time that's what I got from it, and that's still my idea really didn't change about it. I've heard people talk about the whole, there's just something there, man, you know, with the being connected, and then once you get disconnected and, you know, that and the whole idea of reincarnation and things like that, which isn't really played on a whole part, but the red dots might also be that too. I thought of that also. You know, that's what they reincarnate into, and
fucking dot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really have much to say about this film, honestly. Like, I kind of hated this movie a little bit. Like, I thought there was some cool scenes, and actually, I didn't even mind the like J-pop singing that was going on. I actually kind of thought it was pretty cool.
Dude, the wife came downstairs. I was watching this fucking movie, and she like comes down, and she's like, what the fuck are you? What is that?
That's what I was saying while I was watching it. I was like, "What the fuck are you watching?
No,
what is this?"
It was on that J-pop shit at the end, like I think it was the end credits or something. It's like, it's like all this crazy shit. She was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Never mind, man. Like, just never mind."
Yeah, I didn't really like this movie. I'll still give it a 6, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty cool, man. I mean, you know, the whole...
It should be a lot cooler for being called fucking Suicide Club. That sounds rad.
Yeah, I think if you watch it from a different perspective, though, like, of... It's hard to explain, though. You know, I think it just... It makes a lot more sense in their culture than our culture. I mean...
Yeah, there's definitely a cultural disconnect on this one. I'll tell you that right now.
For sure. I mean, it's like anything, right? When you're trying to understand someone's beliefs and things like that, it's just... You're always going to have that cultural confusion, you know? You know, like, really? Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, you know, you look at fucking, you know, in India with cows being sacred and shit, I'm like, motherfucker, take my ass to McDonald's right now. You know, it's different, right? So, Suicide Club, though, I actually really enjoyed watching it again. It's a trippy movie. It's got a lot of really insane imagery, like most of these type of movies and shit. I think the idea is interesting. I like the fact that he made this movie right after that insane 2000 year with all the suicides and shit, and this was kind of his, you know, his reaction to it. Yeah, it was kind of his reaction, you know, just kind of... I don't even think he was trying to make sense of it. I think he was just trying to put something together, you know, and because you really can't make sense of that many suicides. It's crazy. I mean, I understand Japan has like billions of people. It's insane, but not literally billions, but you know what I'm saying? 33,000 suicides is still a lot, no matter how you look at it. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm coming in at an 8. I think it's pretty good.
I would maybe need to watch it again not anytime soon, but if one day maybe rewatching it would make me dig it a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't really care for it.
22 shots.
Okay, well, moving along here into 2005. So we go from the beginning of 2000s to the middle with a film called Strange Circus.
I watched these out of order. This is the one I watched last. Strange Circus, yeah, 2005. Actually released on Christmas Eve, 2005.
Oh, really? Wow.
Weird film to
imagine getting this for a Christmas present or whatever and watching it. Oh, my God, what a weird fucking... synopsis. The erotic novelist Teiko is writing a morbid story of a family destroyed by incest, murder, and abuse. Her assistant, Waiju, sets on a mission to uncover the reality of this story, but the reality might be too much to bear. Again,
so this one's told in sort of a non-chronological type of way as well. Like, we're getting flashbacks, but then you're not really sure if, like... Because at first we're presented with this story of this father who, this daughter, 12-year-old, super young, sees her parents having sex, and the father basically...
I wouldn't say sees. She's kind of forced to watch her.
No. First, she just sees.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the father basically, you know, starts... molesting her, and then there's this weird fucking cello case where he puts her inside the cello case, and you know there's a hole in it, and she's watching her parents have sex, and then vice versa. And there's this whole the vice versa is a thing that's used a lot in this film because it's like a metaphorical, like me and my mother would switch people. I would become my mother would become me type thing when she was being raped and stuff. And then that plays into the whole end of the film.
You know, it's kind of interesting, right? Like once you get to it's one of those movies where once you get to the end and the reveal, you're like, everything leading up to it totally made sense.
Yeah, it actually did.
Right?
And, you know, I was a little fucking taken back by what happened, like how it all played out. I wasn't really expecting
weird.
it.
It's so weird.
This is a very weird movie. I will say this is a step up for me from the last film that we talked about, Suicide Club. Mm-hmm. This one, although it is still confusing, it's easier to follow in a way. You know, I feel like if you're not paying attention to this one, you kind of might lose it a bit. But so it is complex in its narrative layers because like you're being told this story and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, this is actually a story. It's not the film. It's a woman writing a story about this. But then you're wondering, did this happen to her?
I think the structure of the movie was fantastic because they don't tell you that. He doesn't show you that until about halfway through the film, and then you start questioning. You're like, is she just reading her biography? Like, is she just telling her story?
Is this her story, or is this what is this?
I think that's how he portrays it, though. Like, he wants you to believe that, but be confused at the same time because at the same time you go, is she reading her story that she wrote and that's what's being told to us, or is it not happening? Is it in her head?
Yeah.
Right? Is she even a writer? And shit. And it really does. And at the point, you're not supposed to know anything until the reveal happens. It's like, and when it happens, you're like, holy fuck. And then like this is one of the great examples of a movie that after you watch it and you try to think back and you go, fuck, dude. You know, it's as simple, it's as simple as almost just flipping shit.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you
there's all these like cool, foreshadows and things like that.
For sure. Yeah.
I dig that, and honestly, like it's kind of a surreal movie. Like it has some surreal elements to it that is a lot different from the previous film that we talked about, the Suicide Club film.
This one feels like a dramatic, it feels like a fantasy. It feels like a drama fantasy. To the point where it's like it's a fucking total head trip.
Yeah, it's way more like art housey too.
Yeah, but it has that fantasy feel to it, though. Also, I think it's because the way the film is it's portrayed as, it's a very beautiful looking film. It's a movie I'd love to see on Blu-ray. Like I have the DVD, and I don't know if it has Blu-ray release, but the colors and shit. It's just very reminiscent of watching like a Mario Bava, an Argento film with all the real bright reds and the school and like all those scenes with all the bright reds and shit.
Yeah. Very
interesting. Cinematography, really, really interesting stuff, man. Dialogue is really bizarre too.
Yeah.
Really
the
fucking
film is fucking weird.
But
man.
like the dialogue was making me laugh at times. I'm like, people talk like this? and that's when you start but I think it's smart to have that type of dialogue when you have that type of imagery and that type of aesthetic going in the film, because it's like this fantasy, and we know when you incorporate the word fantasy into a film, it's not real. So the whole time, immediately he's projecting this unreal, surreal type film, and the whole time you're trying to figure out if it's real or not, but you're leaning towards the fact that this is not real.
Yeah,
I love that. And he just knocks you, it's crazy. I love that approach to filmmaking. It's really good. Thought the performances were excellent. It deals with a lot of real heavy shit, man. I still think the incest scene is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as much as, a father fucking a little daughter is insane, but just the fact to like,
it's really messed up because she's so young. Like she's 12.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
If she was like 16 or something, it wouldn't be as disturbing.
Yeah.
She's so young. She looks like a little kid.
She does. She's like 10 years old, man. It's like, it's so savage, but just the fact of coming up with the idea of locking a child in a cello case with a hole drilled in it, so with the sole purpose of watching them have sex. Like, that's just fucking bizarre.
Yeah, and the mother starts freaking out and attacking the daughter when they're home alone and stuff like that.
Well, because she finds out the father did this without the mother knowing. Right?
At first.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So the mother has some sort of resentment against the daughter, kind of blaming her.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking weird, man.
It's kind of a hard movie to talk about.
This is not the type of incest I like.
It's a hard movie to talk about without giving, spoiling it.
Yeah, the whole ending is like, it's one you don't want to reveal at all because it is really good.
It is really good. Really, really good stuff. And and I'm glad that when the reveal happened, you're like, oh, fuck yeah. You just instantly kind of get it. You're like, that totally makes fucking sense, right? Yeah. So I love that, man. As confusing the film is being portrayed to you, it works itself out in the end, but it's a fun ride, it's a long film. I think it drags a little bit in the middle of the movie though. Like a lot of these films, runs just under 2 hours. I think it probably could have been cut down a little bit. I thought there were some scenes in the middle I felt like were just kind of, I don't know, padding the time, it felt like a little bit.
Yeah.
And but I mean, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not that big of a deal, but I felt like the pacing was off a little bit at times and stuff. But it does really, really pick up in like the last 40 minutes though. Mm-hmm. I felt like there was a moment and then it just kind of fucking went from there. And then we get this like insane shit at the end of the movie. And I love that. But I feel like the middle, it starts out really heavy and it ends really heavy. And I feel like, there's a half an hour in the middle of the film that I felt was kind of the problem with it. I think if this was tightened up a little bit, but.
Yeah, you got a small cast in this one too, not too many characters.
Yeah.
So what would you rate it then?
I gave Strange Circus a 9 out of 10. It's a really fantastic film, and like I said, this is a movie I would love to see with a high def transfer. There probably is one out there. Someone's probably going to write it down or tell us, but somewhere in the world probably has one. But it's definitely that type of film. I love these fantasy type, real beautiful aesthetically looking films that really do work.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I came in at an 8 out of 10 on it. It was really good. It was definitely a good movie, man. Like I dug it. It was, disturbing and really out there. Very art housey and stuff, and a cool reveal too. So yeah, I give it an 8. But definitely a big improvement over fucking Suicide Club for me. But this fucking next one.
Next up here from 2010, so we go from 1-5 to 10, with a film called Cold Fish. And this is actually based on a true story, which is just mind-fucking.
I found that out after I talked about this film to somebody.
I'm sure that there's things that are definitely fabricated in this, but
yeah, for sure.
I mean, like all these based on. I mean, that's why they're based on true stories.
I'll tell you right now, I didn't own this film, but I bought it after watching it. $5.99 on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
For the DVD. Couldn't pass it up.
The Bloody Disgusting one?
Yeah.
Wow, you can still get that, right? Oh, that's cool. So, which one here? I'll read it down here. Synopsis. When Samoto's teenage daughter is caught stealing, a generous middle-aged man helps resolve the situation. The man and his wife offer to have Samoto's troublesome daughter work at their fish store. Samoto soon discovers the horrific truth of the seemingly perfect couple. Yeah.
Bro, I fucking love this movie.
It's a really, you know what's really fucked up about this movie? Not just the core story of the general and his wife, is this movie is like an adult coming of age movie.
Yeah, kind of.
It really is, man. Like, this father was a massive pussy. He was the perfect target for someone like the general that can just control and make him do anything he wanted to and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but then he kind of doesn't want to buy into it anymore, you know? And I love that. I love that aspect of the story, but,
yeah, there's so much going on in this film. Like, first of all, you have this, man who has, you know, this issue with his daughter, seems like she's a type of wild child or something, like being, you know,
kind
acting
of a common
out.
theme. You know, actually, that's kind of the theme of all three of these movies, right? In Suicide Club, we've got the detective who obviously has a disconnect with his family. Strange Circus, there's quite obviously something wrong with the family. And our core, you know, our main character here, Simoto, and his daughter are obviously not in good places. And his wife, which is his second wife, his daughter's mom actually passed away, and they don't have a good relationship at all.
Yeah, the daughter is very resentful that her father remarried, so she's acting out and things like that.
She's resentful because her mom is so fucking young. Like, I think.
This girl is super young, and she is fucking smoking. By the way,
dude, I know. There's something about her tits. I was so happy when they even showed her tits in the movie.
Hypnotized by them. Oh, dude,
when they showed her tits, I was like, oh fuck yeah, that's awesome.
The guys told me that that's Sono's real wife.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Dude, what is she, like 30 years younger than him or
dude,
something?
She's fucking like, dude, right from the beginning, I was like so attracted to her, like in her top, and then
I had no idea.
I was hoping you got to see her naked at some point.
Yeah.
And she has like perfect boobs too, so like, dude, she's smoking.
You know what's interesting, like, because she's a pretty small woman, and like those are natural titties. Those are not.
Yeah, I know, man.
Those are big natural titties on an Asian girl like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, man, dude, like, okay, so first of all, like, when you're introduced to, what did you say his name is, the general?
Yeah.
He is just like so forward, and you could tell that he like is, you know, somebody who just does whatever he wants.
He's a power. You can tell he's a power because he's very forward. He's very strong with his words, but he comes off as almost being eccentric at first. Because he's like so out there, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I think that I think there's something to say about the fish shops, and like,
well, there's a contrast there, right? Because you take, you know, Simoto and the general, and Simoto's obviously like this mom and pop store. That's the contrast I feel is there. Like, he's got this mom and pop store. He kind of struggles to get by. He's just like this normal dude, and the general is the fucking corporation. You know, it feels like he's got the chain. Yeah,
it also represents their like manhood in a way.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Like the general got this big, massive fucking fish shop.
Yeah,
and he got this little ass tiny fish shop.
But yeah, it's like, their shops.
It's like they're fucking a pissing contest.
Their shops are representative of their personalities.
Yeah.
Right. Because the general is forward. He's actually a very mean. He's a very mean, forward, very psychotic person, and what he has in physical form is just a product of who he is. He can forcefully get anything he wants, essentially. Right. Simoto's very laid back. You know, he's very shy. You know, he's not very forward, and you know,
which makes you wonder how he nailed that hottie. You know, how he
I know, right? He runs this little shop. He obviously doesn't push to make things bigger or better. He's very content in what he has, and the general is pushing forward because, you know, he's a sociopath.
Yeah, essentially, whenever the wife visits his office and he basically fucking seduces her and smacks her around a bit, that's when shit like hits the fan in this fucking movie.
That's like one of the oddest scenes too, right? Because she just kind of, there's no inclination that she's like, well, I mean, she's obviously not too happy in a relationship and stuff, but it's like all of a sudden she's there just getting fucked by the general. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, I think that she has some emotional issues, and you see that where she wants to be hit and stuff like that. It's
for
like
sure.
Yeah. So there's something there.
Their relationship happened so quick. It was like, oh, she's in the car and she's like, oh yeah, let's fucking do that. I'm like, what? I'm like, holy shit.
Well, he just completely displays his power.
For sure. Know? Yeah. I think that's exactly what Sono's showcasing there. Yeah. I mean, you
don't
really have to show it anymore. I mean, you get that right off the hop, you know, like you walk into this guy's shop and he's got all these hot women all these hot little teenage girls working for him and shit. His shop is huge. He's got $10,000 fish and fucking blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. And he's, you know, a criminal. Like he steals people's money and fucking by the time you get to the fucking cabin, dude, holy shit. I was like, this fucking movie's crazy.
Yeah.
And you know what, dude? Like I absolutely love the like realistic approach they take to like disposing of bodies, and like it feels very fucking serial killer-esque, right? Like it feels like fucking.
But the crazy thing about it feeling very serial killer-ish is the fact that there's two people involved in this, man. The general's a psychotic motherfucker who what is the phrase he uses to make them not, he doesn't say disappear, he says invisible, to make them invisible. Yeah. He says invisible, and the way he says it, I'm just like, fuck it. It sounds childish. It sounds like this guy hasn't developed his frontal lobe. You know, it's like ridiculous. But he's fucking psychotic, man. He's a sociopath. And his wife, who actually is pretty good looking herself in the film, is also part of this. So
her boobs ain't got nothing on you.
No. So the general, this is what he does. He's nothing but a fucking criminal. He just steals money off people. He lies about it. He makes them invisible. And there's a lot of scenes where him and the wife are chopping up bodies. And I mean, fucking
dude, that imagery,
shit, man. It's gory as
stuck
fuck
in my head, homie. And I like looked at, like, I just like typed in this movie and went to images on Google, and just seeing him like crouched down there, like that's one of the images on there. I'm just like, man, this was such a good watch for me. Like I just was, look, this movie's 2.5 fucking hours, dude.
Yeah.
I was into it.
But I have to say though, man, for a 2.5 hour movie, this thing tears by. Because
so much stuff happens. That's why there's so much things that happen.
It's the pacing. It's the fucking editing. I'm telling you, because when you have shit like, you know, Sono's wife all of a sudden fucking the general, like the editing is so quick in this movie, you have to pay attention.
What I said on Letterboxd was filler. Like, this is what's really cool about Japanese filmmakers. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Japanese cinema, but fucking revenge thrillers, like these type of movies, work so well because they're fucking unpredictable. Like, you don't know what's going to happen scene from scene. Yeah. Like, I have, like, where the film starts to where you have no fucking idea about the road you're about to go down when you fucking open up in this fish shop. And you're
it's cool because this movie isn't just like a revenge thriller, you know, type movie. It's, like I said, it's a fucking adult coming of age movie. It's a story of a man that, you know, essentially mentally, I mean, he's not retarded, he's not small or nothing, but he's content, you know, he's shy. He doesn't want the drama. He doesn't want the fights and stuff. And then he realizes that, you know, he's fucking losing. This guy's winning, he's losing. And it just triggers him, man. And he takes over. I love that shit, man. I love that because it's not his personality. And you'd be like, oh yeah, you know, of course that's what happens in every revenge movie, but it's showcased here. We get to see how petty and shitty he is. He's a pushover. You know, he's so afraid of the general. I mean, there's this great fucking scene where they're going over the dialogue that he's going to lie about this, or to these brothers about this guy that they just fucking offed, and stole all their money.
You like actually
and he does it great, man.
You actually start feeling like nervous because you're like, holy shit, how the fuck would you get out of this? Like you literally help dispose of a body by this point. Like you're fucked, man.
Isn't
like
it?
There's no way, there's like, you cannot get out of this situation cleanly anymore.
Dude, that scene is so funny too when the general breaks down and he starts crying and he's like, well, I don't know.
I know, right? Because you're like, this motherfucker is ridiculous with his acting.
I mean, he's a fucking sociopath, man. He's like crying. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But it's like,
and when they
but
just
that's
take
Sono putting in dark comedy into there because that's supposed to be kind of funny and unsettling. Because you know what he did.
Yeah.
You know,
and I love the location they used for like the mountain area, like the bridge that they cross where they dump the meat chunks off of the thing for the fish and shit. And
I kept
like
thinking to myself, I'm like, did they
cabin.
pick the junkiest cabin alive? I know it's not supposed to be like, you know, all fancy and shit because they're just chopping up bodies up there and stuff. But man, that thing looked like fucking had been burnt down 3 times, you know?
Well, the only thing that matters is the bathroom and that there's a fucking drain and a fucking bathtub. Yeah. And, you know, I do. The only thing that I thought was a little bit strange was the amount of like meat chunks that they had should have been way more that they dump. Because I'm like, dude, you just cut, like, I know they got rid of a lot of bones and stuff, but yeah. I think that there's more meat chunks than would be.
Is this a bad worm placement right now?
Yeah, a little
critique.
Bit.
There wasn't enough goddamn chunks in there.
The bigger Asian dude that they cut up, I'm like, dude, there's no way that all his meat chunks would fit in those 2 little fucking bags.
Yeah. Dude, when they fucking kill that one fucking one of the general's sidekicks there. Oh, dude, in the fucking hotel room, she's like beating him down and shit. I was like, holy fuck, man. That scene is just brutal. I didn't expect that dude to die in the film.
The women are so slutty in this fucking movie, and like everybody's just fucking grimy and gross and fucking piece of shits.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's married to the general and she's out there fucking that big fat piece of shit, you know, mobster or whatever. And it's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's nasty, man. Nasty.
Dude, this movie was I don't know how I haven't heard more about this one. This movie is fucking awesome,
dude.
Man.
Do you know what, man? When we first started on YouTube, man, this movie was like talked about a lot.
Yeah,
because I remember picking it up right when I started. I hadn't even heard of it yet. And maybe it didn't come out. I think in 2010, maybe it just come out on DVD in 11 or 12 or something like that. So, but it got a lot of buzz. I remember the very first person I heard talk about this movie was Danny. Actually, he had recommended this, and I was like in one of his videos and shit. And I was like, oh yeah, fucking cool. And then I'd watched it, and I was like, fuck, the movie's fucking excellent, really good shit. Dude. Really
this
good.
This movie's great, dude.
Yeah,
fucking great.
But yeah, the gore in this, man, like it's not like that. You know, it's just that.
It's like raw,
unsettling, like so much. And then there's this absolutely fucking insane fight scene at the end with a body and so much blood and carnage. It's just insane.
Yeah,
absolutely great scene.
The acting
one of the greatest
is so fucking good by everybody. Everybody's acting is fucking on point, man.
Yeah,
and the character arcs are so good. Like, this is Sion Sono's fucking masterpiece if he had
one.
Well,
the guy that plays, what's his name? Masiro Fukusuhi? I hate fucking Japanese names. They're so hard to pronounce. But yeah, our coming of age guy, the father. He's so fucking good. Like, even when he transforms into, you know, what he becomes.
Yeah.
He's just so good. He was pulling everything off really well. Mm-hmm. Really, really good performances, man. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I would say that, honestly, dude, like, I mean, this dude has improved so much from, like, the first film we talked about, Suicide Club, to this. This is fucking, like, it's shot so, it just seems so much bigger and better than, you know, he progressed each film that we talked about for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, rating-wise, man, coming in at 9.5 on this one. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I meant the same thing. 9.5.
Yeah, fucking. If Jeremy was here, it could be a Hall of Famer because this fucking movie was.
I'm actually
great,
curious.
Dude.
I'm curious what he would rate this because you know.
Hey,
you just don't
Patreon
know
listeners, somebody give this movie to him for next month, man.
This is going to hurt Sam's feelings right now. I know he's going to like, you guys gave it 9.5, and Jeremy's not even on the show to make the Hall of Fame.
I know.
Damn, man, what the fuck happened, man? I'm actually curious to hear what he would, or you know, his thoughts on all 3 of these movies because, you know, there's a lot. These are 3 different films. There's a lot going on. They're one's an art house film. One has, you know, it's all shit that he essentially likes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't think he's the biggest.
I would have been
Japanese
curious
fan,
to hear Brandon's thoughts too. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. I think he would have really dug the.
Because I think he watched them too.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah. But, all right, so that's it. That's a short one.
Yeah, that was a fucking really, really fucking short show, man.
Which I don't mind at all because I feel like dog.
That's the thing, man. I mean, the news is short, but I mean, the show always gets prolonged when we have a bonus review and when we do Box Office Brawl and Dead Mail, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those extra segments, man. I mean, I could have thrown in a quick little fucking corners report. that would have an extra 30 seconds.
Extra 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I actually got the new room morgue sitting right here. Actually, I haven't even read it yet. But yeah, so that's episode 155. Sion Sono. Not exactly how we wanted the show to turn out. I still think it turned out pretty good, just the two of us. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I got to watch such a fucking good movie for this, and I was telling Carly, I was like, I always have to have these situations happen because it makes me remember why I fucking love horror and like finding films and watching stuff, because sometimes you just find one that you're so enthralled in, and you just fucking love it. And Cold Fish is one of those films for me.
I mean, this pick by Sam was fantastic for me. These Sono films, because I personally like all three. I mean, you might have to check out Suicide Club maybe down the road with just look at it differently and shit. But it's I think it's a good film.
Yeah,
just kind of given how he made the film and stuff. So, but it is what it is. But we'll be back next week, episode 156 with Maniac OG verse remake, and there is a bonus review of the Cementer.
The
Cremator.
Yep. The Cremator. Yeah.
I call this Cementer. Gee, I'm reading this. I have something in my eye. I'm not even joking. I literally have something in my eye. I'm trying to read this, and I'm like, I haven't watched the movie yet, so. Apparently it's from 1969. Good old bonus reviews. Yeah.
Yep, but that's it, man.
That is it. I have no idea how long this has been running for, but I'm sure it's not the longest.
Yep.
We actually should have got, I'm sure all those other dudes are on Skype. We should have just brought them into the show and just did a segment.
I know, right?
It was fun. But anyways, guys, that is it. I am not going to do the outro because, well, let's face it, nobody fucking listens to the outro.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, actually, I think Derek does because he always hears the shit that I put at the end of the show. He always hears it. I swear he's the only one that ever hears it because no one ever comments on it. But, yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Do you want to do an outro? You know some of the links and shit. I don't.
I mean, yeah, just, check us out on the usual places, horrorphilia.com. We're on Spotify now. Fucking Stitcher, all the good stuff. iTunes. Twitter, 22 Shots Podcast. Email, 22 Shots of Moods and Horror @gmail.com. As well as the Facebook group, which is Facebook.com/group/22 Shots Podcast. YouTube channel Mood 616 Double Shot J, and we're signing out here. So we'll see you guys.
I do want to say one thing. If you are interested in joining the the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror Facebook group, I really do appreciate when people answer the questions when they what's the word I'm looking for? Sign up to be in the group. People don't sign up when
request
they
to join.
Request to join the group. That was the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because lately I've been having quite a few people have answered the questions. And I like when people answer them honestly. They're like, "Do you listen to podcasts?" "No." "Where'd you hear about it?" Exploding Heads or this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. It's fine. You just be honest. And I like that. I like that. So
yeah, I do too. That's why I put those there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys next week with me, Moods, and Jeremy.
Deuces.
Peace.
Nugs.
Satans! What did the Spanish priest say to the Iranian gynecologist?
I don't know, Philip. What?